Hi, I'm John Hottaway, and I had a question this week from a gentleman on the phone, and he said he was going to be buying a handgun. He asked me, what kind of sight should I get on the gun? And I thought about it a little bit, and I thought, that's really a great question. So, what kind of sights should you get on a new handgun? And I think the answer to that question is simply put, it depends. What are you going to use that gun for? Now, let me show you some of the guns I have and the uses that they have to me and what kind of sights I've decided to put on each of these guns, and I'll try to walk you through and explain the differences on each of these guns. The first thing is this, well, what is the purpose of a gun? So if I ask myself, this is a primary defensive carry gun, what kind of sight should I put on it, John? Well, here's one of the things I would say. This is one of my earlier carry guns, and this is a Kimber Ultra Elite, and it was the first year they came out with this gun. And one of the things that I liked about it was it had fixed night sights. Now, when I say fixed, I want to point out a couple of things. These are put into a dovetail, so they're put into the gun. The rear sight is staked with an adjustable screw here so that you can take it out, move for windage left and right, but you screw the sight back down, put a little dab of Loctite on it, and it's not going to move. So this particular gun is a primary defensive handgun that I'm going to carry. So I wanted something with smoothed night sights on the gun, something that the sights would not come off. That was obviously the primary purpose of your sights, is to be able to see them. If they're not on the gun, they're going to be difficult to see. So that's one that's a primary defensive handgun. Now, as I move on up, this is a Falcon by Nighthawk Custom. This is my current CDP gun, but it's also a defensive gun, meaning that this gun serves double purpose for me. So what I tried to do with this is I went with a tritium traditional front sight in a dovetail as well. I went with a Heine rear sight. When you look at this Heine rear sight, you'll notice this notch right here. This notch allows you to cock this gun or move the slide to the rear by simply catching this sight rather, on your belt, on a fixture of some kind, on a car door, wherever you might need to if you had one hand injured or you had a hand occupied and you weren't able to use both hands to rack the slide on this gun. As you can see, this particular gun has a white tritium dot here in the rear, and it also has a white tritium dot here in the front. So you align one dot over the other, and the gun is simply aligned. This is, I think, a really simple sighting system that works well. I use this gun in competition. I also carry this gun as one of my defensive handguns. Now, when I move on up from there, a yet more expensive sight is this one on this Wilson Combat Super Grade. It has the same traditional front sight, but it has a rear adjustable night sight that they call the Combat Pyramid. And as you can see here, why they call it the Pyramid. They say that this allows you to get faster sight acquisitions from side to side as you go to your next target. I know that some people on a defensive handgun prefer not to have adjustable sights. And as a rule, I believe in that as well. The reason is that it's one more thing that can cause this gun not to be in service by ripping the sights off, getting snagged on something. But I've never had this difficulty. I have some other guns with adjustable rear night sights on them, and I've never had that problem. However, I always try to make sure that I have a quality sight on the gun, and I've seen some that I would not recommend. Now, moving on into a purpose competition gun, this gun is my Talon double stack 1911 in 9mm. This gun, as you can see, also has a dovetail front sight right here, and it has a Dawson fiber optic insert in the front sight. The rear is a Heine sight without anything in it. So what you get is a really fast pickup. Your eye gravitates to this red dot in the front. It's not powered, it's not illuminated, it simply uses the sunlight. So this is primarily an outside competition gun that I would not be carrying as an everyday defensive gun just because of the sighting configuration. Here you'll see on this Nighthawk Talon kind of the same exact situation, but I've employed it with that Heine night sight that has that shelf on it again, so that I get a commonality of platform even though it doesn't have a tritium insert in it. So you can see that there's a variety of choices. Now, I have selected my sights based on the specific purpose of that gun. I will tell you that I have seen other sighting systems out there. I have seen a ghost ring in the back on a pistol. I've also seen triangles on pistols. I've seen some hybrid sights that have tritium and they glow in the sunshine from having a fiber optic in them. And I've tried most of those. I come back to these. I've also tried some of the big dot sights, and I think they work really well up close, but they have difficulty in further distances, like 15 yards and out. They tend to have some trouble doing detail work at that point. So this is traditionally what I'm going to stick with based on the gun. Now, I want to be clear. Each sight has its purpose. I'm not a hater of one sight and a lover of the other. There's not one size that fits all. And I will tell you freely this, that the biggest thing on the sight is being familiar with how to operate it. This is not a situation that you solve a software problem with hardware. It requires practice, and it requires working with each of these sighting systems to make them work. Thank you.